Look here, it's end time. I don't know how I got where I got to when I was trying to talk about earmarks, but I do believe it's pertinent for what's going on, and that's just the way I am. I'm off the cuff. I don't have to have a friggin' teleprompter, okay? I don't have to have somebody to write my speeches like politicians do. I mean, I watched the Senate, and God knows I'm trying to get back to this earmark. I watched the senators, and I watched them read their things. I watched these presidents read and Vice President read from a speech that they didn't even write. Somebody else wrote it for them. And they'll look at you a minute, they'll look at you in the media, they'll look over here, they'll go back, and they'll look down. Because they too stupid, and they ain't got enough intelligence to speak on their own accord and have their own input on what should be done. What they have is a bunch of hired speechwriters and a bunch of analyst groups to say this is going to affect this population. Because they've looked at you, they analyze you, they know what you like, they know what you don't like, they know what appeals to you, what don't appeal to you, and it appeals to your emotion. So they put all that together in the database. I mean, from the smallest thing to the largest. Look, when you go on Google and you Google something, you got this ad that comes up, and bam, I like watching this TV, I like watching that. Maybe I watch Food Network all the time. Maybe I do this. Maybe I'm this community. Maybe this is 97% black over here. This is 77% Hispanic over here. This is mostly white, so I'm going to appeal to them. I mean, they put it all together, and they have analysts that taxpayer money funds, and then they come up with a friggin' speech that's going to appeal across the board to everybody that's half asleep. Bingo! Game over, baby. I just won. Because I just explained to you what goes on. But let's get back, try to anyway, to the earmark deal. Okay. Lord, help me, Jesus. On paper, earmarks are intended to go through a public process. Lawmakers recognize needs which exist in their respective states and districts. Submit a written request to the appropriate congressional subcommittee asking for the panel's support. In reality, however, earmarks are often not judged on their merit. Rather, earmarks are typically handed out as favors in exchange for votes on key pieces of legislation by party leaders and appropriations chairmen. Bam! Let me go back to that. Now, at the beginning of this series, I told you that Rod Blagojevich did nothing wrong compared to what these people do in earmarks. You need to listen to End Time Watchman. I ought to be in yonder enjoying myself doing something, you know, that is relaxing to me, okay? I should be enjoying my Friday night. But I'm telling you, there's something inside of me that keeps me doing what I'm doing here. I'm going to read this statement again. Before I read this statement, I want to tell you something. James Traficant Jr. did nothing wrong. He was framed. Rod Blagojevich did nothing wrong. He was framed. If you want to put somebody's butt out of office, you better get every earmarking senator and congressman, and you better tar and feather them and kick their ASS to the concrete and get them out of there and put an American citizen like Martin or Scuba Man or maybe CV1122, and I'm not calling everybody's name, but the list goes on and on. I got over 2,200 subscribers, and by God, they ain't but 500 something in Washington. I think every one of you would beat what they're doing. Glory to God. Now, let's get back to it. I'm going to read this statement again. Because you know why you'd beat them? Because you're intelligent enough to search for the truth. That's why you subscribe to me and all these others. You're intelligent enough to know that, by God, this nation's headed to hell in a handbasket. You're intelligent enough to know that the media ain't going to do nothing but lie to you. You're intelligent enough to know that the senator and congressman are crooked. And you'd beat them if you went up there in a pair of friggin' overalls with a t-shirt with holes in it with wore-out boots. You'd beat them any day of the week. Because you'd go there with common sense, and your fellow patriot and fellow constitutionalist would be at the top of your list, buddy, and you'd work for the people, not for your own desires. My God, I ought to put this on DVD. I ain't got the money. I ain't got it. Let's move on. I'm going to read this statement again. On paper, earmarks are intended to go through a public process. Lawmakers recognize needs which exist in their respective states and districts. That's how they get elected. They earmark a bunch of money and they send it back to there, and it influences the voters. Well, he built this bridge. He may have named it after him. Like Byrd. Wrong! Wrong! You don't remember Robert Byrd? Wrong! Every friggin' thing in his state's named after him. He bought his way for years into his seat. And everything he did was wrong! Doesn't matter if it had intelligence or not. He had to go against it because he is ASS. Don't own his soul. He sold it a long time ago. By God, they stay in that office. That's one example of many. And let End Time Watchman put it real clear right now. Republican and Democrat alike do the same thing, buddy. Let's move on. In reality, however, earmarks are often not judged on their merit. Rather, earmarks, listen to me, are typically handed out as favors in exchange for votes on key pieces of legislation by party leaders and appropriation chairmen. So, maybe Rod Blagojevich, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, maybe you don't like him. And I think by God, I think he's a Democrat. Maybe what you've heard, that he tried to sell the Senate seat of Obama, is wrong. And you know what? In the end, he might be guilty of trying to sell it. But wait a minute. Can I ask you a question tonight? When an earmark is put in there by a congressman, senator, whatever, it is to buy their vote that they can remain in office. Now, that's one of the highest forms of treason I ever seen. Now, you may say, End Time, you're off your rocker. No, I'm not. I'm giving you the truth that you, by God, don't want to hear. What Harry Reid says, it's been going on forever. Well, so is rape and so is murder. Do you like either one of them? I don't. It's unconstitutional to earmark stuff, because what it does is it sways and it puts in a paradigm that this people that wouldn't vote for you, if you buy them out by an earmark, they'll vote for you because you just promised yourself a long Senate term or congressman term by buying something, not by standing for the Constitution, not by standing for what patriotism is, not by standing for the American people, but by buying your way back in office. See, I just bring it down to earth, where there is intelligence, not Harvard confusion, not an Ivy League school. No, sir, that ain't me. But if you take time to look at it, study it, what is going on, what is lies and what is truth, you will be flabbergasted and probably knocked on your butt. And it'll get bruised, it'll knock you so hard, to realize just how screwed up the government is. Just how duped you've been and how you've been lied to. See? Let's move on with earmark. Coming back.